Hello viewers, welcome to the Bizz show in association with HMTV. To know all about the current educational landscape, we have come to the premier educational institution, Oakridge International School, Bachupalli. So let's go. Oakridge International School, widely known for Cambridge, IB and CBSE syllabus, is known far and wide for a holistic development of a student. The extracurricular activities, affinity clubs and a lot more constitute the academic excellence of Oakridge. Today we are here to meet Mr. Christopher, MD, North Anglia University, India. So let's go. Hello sir, it's great having you here with us today. So to begin with, I wanted to know how your experience with Oakridge has been.
Yeah, my experience has been fantastic. I've been here in India for 3 years and I've been with North Anglia for just over 12 years. So, and in that time I've worked in Vietnam, I've worked in Singapore and I've worked in China. So it's been a sort of a really nice extension of the work that I've done, but obviously in an area that's relatively new for international school companies.
Exactly.
To work with schools here in India, and a very exciting time. Obviously, India's about to overtake Japan and move up the economic size scale. I think it's from 5th to 4th from memory.
Yeah.
You know, there's all sorts of things happening in terms of developments around what's happening in the country, and I think it's an exciting time to be here. I've loved the time that I've spent here.
So how's India treating you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, very good. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to travel, both professionally, because our schools are spread around the country, but also personally. You know, there are still places I want to get to, no, I just feel that it's been a great opportunity. People are very welcoming. Obviously, India's a famously global country, so you know, you meet people who have connections to parts of the world that I lived in. My neighbour in Scotland is originally from Punjab, so we have conversations, you know, around there, and it's just a great and dynamic place to be.
That's great to know, sir. So getting back to our topic, so in a city full of great schools, what do you think, you know, how is Oakridge different? Or how do you think that, you know, the path that the school follows in terms of academics or extracurricular activities, how is it different?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I think there are lots of schools around India that are offering maybe some of the curricula that we offer. There's many schools that describe themselves as international schools.
Yes.
And I think, you know, the school here can proudly describe itself as an international school, not just because of the curricula we run, not just because of where our students go on to university, which is global, but because, and this is where North Anglia comes in, because of the partnership with North Anglia, you know, we allow students access to things that's maybe more difficult for other schools. So, you know, we've got a group of students in Houston at the moment doing a UN summit. We had teachers at MIT in Boston last week doing some training around STEAM. We are in the process of working on our partnership with IMG Academy in Florida to come and help us with sports and other extracurricular activities. You know, we've sent teachers to conferences in the Middle East and in Vietnam in the last couple of years. So there's a real sort of edge there that we can give and give that sort of exposure both to the staff and then on to the students, either directly or because we've been working with the staff and training them on some of the things that we do across our 90 odd schools in the world.
So, I mean, like you have mentioned, there are many schools that just name them international for the sake of it, but the curriculum they follow, or are there any parameters or benchmarks that the schools have to set?
As far as I'm aware, there's nothing stopping schools in India calling themselves an international school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually an interesting topic because the definition around the world is confusing.
Yeah.
You know, and the only one I've really come across is, believe it or not, from the International Schools Librarians Association, and they talk about the curriculum they offer, the opportunities that I've just been talking about. They talk about where the students are from, and obviously we do have international students here. Talk about where the staff are from. So I think we do have to contextualise that. I think the schools here will be more driven and have higher concentrations of Indian teachers and Indian students, and I think that's perfectly natural, especially on the teacher side.
Yeah.
Obviously, in a country that has such a high regard for education,
Yes.
And where English is one of the languages that is used across the country, it's natural that we're going to not have to look beyond India for many of our teachers. And in fact, across schools in India, only 7% of teachers in international schools are not from India. So that that's really quite a low percentage. If you went to somewhere like Dubai or somewhere like Singapore, that would be the other way around.
Exactly.
7% national teachers.
So, sir, now getting back to the point that, we have spoken about how Oakridge is standing out. So, you have explained what it is about. So, if we ask the same question to a parent, a student, or a teacher, so will their answer be the same, or how would they describe their experience?
Their answer would be exactly the same.
Okay.
No, what I would hope is that parents would come along and see, they'd see a vibrant environment, they'd see a curriculum that really supports learning, they'd see teachers that are engaged and want the best for their students. And then they would see that delivered both through our results, especially at the top end, once we get into the IB curriculum and the GCSE curriculum. And then probably most importantly, from parents' point of view, and I know talking to parents in India that they are thinking about this from a very young age for their children, where are our students going on to? And that, for me, is phenomenal. When I look at the list of universities that our students are going to, it really is a list of some of the best places around the world, and I think that's really that's an important that's the important metric. But the other important metric is that they get to those universities and they thrive, and that's what I hope that parents and students will pick up from their experience at Oakridge. They've got the academic qualifications, but they've also developed the skills and the attributes they need to thrive in whatever part of the world they've decided to go to.
That's exactly what we wanted. So one more thing is, sir, this might be controversial, but coming to India and the parents' perspective, there are many schools that concentrate only on academics, especially in the higher classes. So, the extracurricular activities or sports are all left behind. So, in a world which has global exposure, and also we have AI and ML taken over and all that.
Yeah.
So, how do you think, a student, just sticking out on academics, how is he world ready, or how do you think that Oakridge helps bridge this gap?
So I moved here from China, and so certainly when I first came, I got asked this question a lot. What is the difference between Chinese parents and Indian parents? And I answered it the same way. With two countries of 1.4 billion people, difficult to generalize. But if I was going to, I would say that Indian parents understand, and I think it's because of this long history of global links that India has, and the wide range of communities around the world. They realise that it is more than academics. You can't land in Harvard and with your great grades if you don't know how to look after yourself. If you haven't got the skills to make sure that you're looking after your mental health, your physical health, and so that's what Oakridge School will do, is it will make sure that, yes, they're getting the great grades, but they're also developing their ability to balance their life as they go through. So, the IB diploma program, for example, is very good at that, because it requires you to keep up certain activities as part of the program. It requires you to have that community focus, which is obviously very important. It requires you to be very well organised, and students who do the IB diploma, when they go to university, they often find, I wouldn't say they find the first year easy, no student does that, but they certainly find that they've got the skills to put together an essay, to make sure they've referenced it properly, to make sure they're not falling foul of plagiarism, which comes to your AI point. They know how to use it properly. So, yeah, that's important. But as I say, I know it's an easy sell for Indian parents. They understand that part. They don't rail against that necessarily in terms of making sure that their children are ready to fly off to wherever they're going to go and pursue their higher education.
But sir, if we look at the statistics, so we have a CBSE curriculum which is spread widely over in India, and each state has their own syllabus.
Yeah.
So Oakridge is offering IB and Cambridge syllabus.
Yep.
So that's relatively new for many of the parents, you could say, especially in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So how do you think this can make an impact on the student? I mean, in layman terms.
I think it's you know, and the CBSE is developing. I know less about the various state boards, but you know, we do run the CBSE in some of our schools as well. So I have some knowledge over that. It's not as good as my IB knowledge, but the CBSE is beginning to bring in elements of what I've just been talking about. You know, in terms of making sure that it's promoting those wide skills. But you know, I think the IB by its nature just comes out of the box as something that has been designed from the beginning in the late 60s to make sure that students can take their education and be portable to any part of the world. And I think, you know, you mentioned AI in your previous question and the role of technology.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that good schools have worked out is we're never going to be able to predict exactly what is going to be there in 10 years' time in terms of exact careers or the patterns that are going. We can look at trends, obviously, but what we can do is make sure that our students have got the skills so they can cope with that change. So, you know, I always use a friend of mine, Simon, as an example. You know, we went to school together, and you know, he first of all got into intranets, which didn't exist when we were at school, and now he's into data protection, which sort of didn't exist when we were in school.
Exactly.
You know, so he's just built those skills to have that adaptability, so that you know, when things come along, he's in a position to you know, make use of things as they develop.
Exactly. So, and one more thing, like talking about the same statistics, being the country that produces the most number of engineers or lawyers or doctors, so parents are like, you know, especially in an era of 90s and 2000s, parents were bent on students getting into engineering or they must be doctors. So there are many career paths that are unexplored. So how does Oakridge help students realize their potential in those unexplored paths?
So that's where good counselling comes into play. So you know, it is important. And again, I go back to maybe what I thought I was coming to in terms of an expectation around, you know, a very limited number of career choices. And that's not what I've experienced at all, talking to students or talking to parents. You know, now when I talk to students about this at our school in Bangalore about 6 months ago, they were saying, what you're talking about is what our parents experienced. They've sort of been through that pain for us and broken out and realised that actually the future is far broader, and we don't need to sort of, you know, look about maybe half a dozen, you know, limited career options. So yeah, no, good careers counselling. So making sure that students have got access to the information, making sure parents have got access to the information, making sure they know the steps to go there. Careers have definitely got more complicated, fluid. I'm not sure the best way of describing it, but the idea of when I left school and I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and then I became a teacher, and then after a while I became a senior teacher, and I became into leadership and so on and so forth. You know, that does still exist in certain areas, but in many other areas it's far more strategic in terms of, right, well, I'll do this for a while and that will give me these skills, and then I can go and do something like this. You know, I find it fascinating, the office block that I work in, we have PwC's global centre in Hyderabad, and if I time my journey to lunch wrongly, I find myself in the lift with all these people working around the world. And every time I do it, I'm sort of thinking, when these people were at school, did they think they were going to be working in an office block in India, but actually working on American time because they're supporting people in Houston, or British time because they're supporting people in Edinburgh or wherever it might be? So I think I think the idea of keeping open, developing those skills, the general skills that you need to succeed in almost anything you do, and then just having that access for how do you then navigate your way through from leaving school, through university, through into your first entry level jobs, and where can that lead to?
So that's very interesting to know. So, and can we know what's one change that Oakridge is brave enough to make that the other schools haven't tried on or explored yet?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I can come up with one big change. I think what is probably more is that what we're trying to inculcate in staff is that, you know, we constantly, and it's sort of the theme of what I've been talking about just now, is that we know that things are fluid, we know that things are changing, things are developing. So in everything that we do, we can't just keep using what we did last year,
exactly.
this year, and assume it will work. We have to keep reviewing it. We have to use data from student attainment. We have to use information on when students' results come to, where they're going to, the skill development that we talk about. One of the things that North Anglia is doing at the moment, we've partnered with Boston College around metacognition and the skills that people need around, making sure they're learning in the most efficient way. And so there's these sort of gradual improvements. And so what we're looking for from staff is that sort of open-mindedness, that they will go on to our training platform, which we've got, which is called North Anglia University, and they will expose themselves to some of this groundbreaking research and start to apply it in the teaching that we're doing.
So, sir, in a community where we have like multiple career options, or there are a lot of things that students explore outside, so how can they be industry ready by enrolling themselves in Oakridge? For
me, going in for the world of work is about two things and two themes that I'll pull together from what I've mentioned already. It is those qualifications and that knowledge that they've built, and then it's those skills. So the industry ready that we can do in Oakridge schools is that they combine those two, and they have that exposure. Maybe they've been on our trip to MIT, or they've been on our expedition centre to Switzerland, or whatever it might be, and they've sort of started to open themselves up to those opportunities, so that when they find something that interests them, whether it's software engineering, whether it's something in the artistic world, whether it's philanthropy in some sort of shape or form, they can sort of pull together those qualifications that they've picked up and those skills they've developed and that sort of open-mindedness that they've picked up from the various Oakridge activities, whether they're here in the campus or overseas, so that they're in a good position to then apply those.
So, sir, also talking about CSR and giving it back to the society, so Oakridge comes first. So what's the idea or ideology behind it?
So this is something I'm particularly proud of in my little part of North Anglia in India, that we're leading the way in our social impact. So we promote social impact across all our schools, and we have programs and we have grants that we will give out from our central office in London, and 4 of our 5 schools are working towards the top award for that, which is great. Now, possibly understandable. There are opportunities, but they're here. But for me, there's obviously the shorter term impact of CSR. But from a school point of view, we are trying to make sure that our students develop that idea of community and that idea that in whatever they're going to do, they will need to give back. So I'll give you an example away from Oakridge, but it's a North Anglia example. So my daughter went to our school in Ho Chi Minh City. She got involved in CSR projects there through the IB. She went back to university in the UK and got involved in a project feeding homeless people around the city.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that was obviously useful in terms of having a great impact on the community in the city she was working in. But it also helped her develop skills that then helped her go on to what she does now. She now works for the National Health Service in the UK, supporting cancer patients. And you can see where she's sort of used something that's grown out of her time at a North Anglia school and doing the IB into something that she's continued at university at her own volition, has now taken into work. And so I think it is important.
Very important.
And you wouldn't want anybody to be cynical about CSR. It's a very important part of what we do. But there are those dual elements of it, as well as the direct impact we've got. You are building those skills in the staff and the students that are involved in it.
Absolutely true. So in a society where marks and examinations and scores are given utmost importance, so even though we say for the sake of it that, it's okay, but there's a lot of stress on the students and the parents as well. So there's one part that students have to score, like you said, for their future. And one more thing is marks, they just don't, define who you are. So how is it balanced at Oakridge?
So Oakridge will promote students doing as well as they should be doing within their academic qualifications, whether that's CBSE, whether that's GCSE, IB, whatever curriculum or whatever phase that people are at. it should never be, as you say, it should never just be about that. It should be part of their package, if you like, of what they take from Oakridge out into the world. So, that's promoted by, the sorts of things that you see around the school. So the opportunities the students have for leadership. So that's taken into great stead by the school. So if somebody is involved in a CSR project that we've just talked about, or whether they're a house captain, or whether they're a school leader in some way, that's really important. When we come to graduations, it's always nice that we celebrate broader, so that everybody is seeing that we don't just celebrate the people who've done top in the exams, we celebrate where people are, have contributed elsewhere. So that's really important. And then ultimately, as I say, it's about tracking those alumni and the success that they have, bringing them back into the school, talking about what helped them in terms of their move to New York or Oxford or wherever they might have gone. And the answer is always, we needed the qualifications to be attractive to the university we've ended up into, or into the career they've gone into, but I then also needed those skills. So it's about making sure that everybody at every age and parents understand that it has to be that package. Yes, it has to be as high academic outcomes as a child is capable of, and we have ways of making sure, and we use diagnostic assessments to make sure that we know where a student should be and we can support them to get that. But then it's also about making sure they've got those skills so that they can thrive wherever they end up.
That's very good to know, sir. And 10 years from now, how do you want people to remember Oakridge? Not just the students, but the parents and who have been a part of Oakridge earlier. So how do you want the school to be remembered?
Well, one of the strengths of Oakridge is the community that we have, whether it's the staff community, the parent community. Obviously, that's spurred by the student community. And I love coming down here and spending time. I find it really interesting, actually. The days that I'm in school, I go home of an evening with definitely more energy than the days I'm not in a school. You pick something up from it.
Exactly.
So, I would hope that in 10 years' time, that community is still there. I would hope that everything we've just been talking about is developing. So as AI gets embedded, as other technologies that we haven't even thought about yet come along, we're still developing students that can cope with that change and thrive with that change. I hope that we're still core to our values in the school, that we're still making sure we're looking after our student body, we're still making sure we develop, as you alluded to earlier. We're getting that stress right, so that, yes, we are making sure the students do as well as they can, but we're also understanding the wider elements in terms of well-being and mental health and the other things. So those things that will continue. And in 10 years' time, India's developed, Oakridge has developed, and we've got 10 more years of alumni that are great ambassadors for us around the world.
That's wonderful. So finally, what message would you give the students and their parents regarding education system as a whole?
I think parents and students need to look for an education system that is going to, now I've used this word a lot today, but it's a really important word to me, thrive.
Thrive,
The worst thing you can do as a parent, and there are many, I'm a parent myself, as I've just mentioned, there are many ways of approaching parenting, but the worst thing you do as a parent is trying to put your child into a situation that they're not going to enjoy. They're not going to. I'm trying not to use the word thrive again. I'm trying to think of another word, but they're not going to sort of come back beaming every night. They're sort of bowed down by the academic side, or they don't feel the other side, the other elements of it are being developed. So, I think for me, it's just about making sure that you've got something that is doing that overall holistic approach to development, so that children enjoy coming to school, because that's really, really important. I keep saying children. Obviously, at a certain point, we call them students because they get a bit older, and an 18-year-old doesn't like to be called a child. But that enjoyment factor and that safe factor, and making sure they know where to go if they've got a problem, whether it's an academic problem or a pastoral problem, I think is really, really important, and that really helps. With a well-organised curriculum, staff that are committed and want to get the best out of it, then we can see our students fly and, as I say, go off around the world to wherever they feel they want to be, or stay in India, because quite a few of our students will stay and go to universities here as well.
So much to take away from this conversation. Thank you so much for being with us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for the time.
Yes, sir. So how's your journey with Oakridge been?
Never take failure too seriously.
So what's your dream career that you're looking at?
I joined Oakridge like 11 years ago, so
How has Oakridge shaped you?
She allowed me to do my own thing basically.
Always find balance between studies and fun.
Hello, it's a pleasure having you with us today. So can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Arav. I'm currently in DP1 of Oakridge, and so I'm in IBDP currently, and I'm here because I topped IGCSE in 10th for my
Hearty
10th grades.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So how's your journey with Oakridge been?
So it's been pretty fun. The teachers have always supported me, and I think that's why I've topped, because they've always been with me every step of the way, and they've really helped.
So what are the 3 key takeaways that your journey with Oakridge has given you?
So first is never take failure too seriously, because failures keep happening. It's not that you're always going to be on top, but at the same time, never take success too seriously either, because when you're that high, you can always come down low very easily. So just put in your 100%. And second, I think you should always find balance between studies and fun, because if you just focus on one thing for a long time, it's pretty hard. So I think the best thing to do is find balance. So I'm really into music, right? So during my boards, I always used to leave some time out so I could listen to music, so I could relax. That way I wasn't overwhelmed by the stress. And third, honestly, is listen to your teachers, because they have experience. They give you the best advice. If you ignore what they say, you're bound to fail. They just want the best for you, so they're going to help you out.
So what are your future plans?
Right. So my future plan, my dream is to go to MIT and study computer science. I haven't decided what in computer science yet, but the plan is MIT.
Okay.
So the next 2 years for my IBDP journey, I am planning quite a lot of extracurriculars to help me achieve my dream.
That's great to know. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hita and I just passed our 12th grade. I'm the CBSE overall grade topper.
So what's your dream career that you're looking at?
I'm looking forward for med school. I just wrote my exams for it and I'm hoping I get the best college. But genuinely, I'm very interested in biology and computer science. So I'm okay with any career that's in with the blend of the 2 of the subjects. I'm also open to courses and colleges which offer bioinformatics and data science as well. So that's some 2 things that I'm looking for.
That's very interesting to know. So how has Oakridge shaped you?
I joined Oakridge like 11 years ago, so it feels like I grew up with it.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot, I've evolved from it. So it has helped me to be where I am today.
So how do you think the school is different from the others? Or why did you opt for it?
I think I have to genuinely thank my parents. I was just 7 years and they really liked the way the school was, the infrastructure, the curriculums that they offered. They just felt that the courses that they had would suit me as a child.
That's great to know. So can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Oritro. I am the grade 12 topper for the MPC stream.
So how has Oakridge shaped you? How's your journey been?
So I'm a very old Oakridge student. I joined in first grade itself. So when I was like 12 years ago. So Oakridge, generally, it has been probably one of the best decisions of my life. There have been many times, like in 5th grade or like 8th grade, even in like 10th grade, where my parents were thinking of moving me out of school. But honestly, I'm extremely grateful that they decided to put me here. And there are a lot of factors. For example, the infrastructure, as she mentioned. Then there's also the fact that Oakridge gives you a lot of freedom to do whatever you want. So you can host an MUN, you could like host a club, you can host basically any event that comes to mind. You can just talk to the school and they will provide you everything for it. So I feel that the environment that I grew up in Oakridge, that has really helped me like to change my worldview. And unlike a lot of people who simply spend a lot of time simply just studying all the time, Oakridge has given me freedom to both balance my studies and also my extracurriculars and holistic learning.
That's great to know. So I just want to know that, you have a lot of distractions these days in terms of
Yeah.
social media or computers or whatever. So how did you manage to stay away from them and focus on studies?
Well, I'm probably not the best person to talk about that, but still, I can still give my 2 cents. So, genuinely, I haven't been that great at like studying for multiple hours at a
Mhm.
time. So, like 7 8 hours, I simply cannot do that. So, at most, I can study 2 3 hours at a time. But what I have done is in those 2 3 hours, I made sure to strategically study. So, basically, I made sure to plan what to do at what time. I made sure to understand the concept properly, do some practice questions, and allocate the time in such a manner. Apart from just like strategically studying, which is probably one of the things that has helped me the most, I have taken some measures for like the distractions, reducing distractions. For example, I myself don't use a lot of social media already, but what I do have like Discord or something, I just disable the app in that time. And also another thing that many people don't do in India apparently is that they generally study for multiple hours at a time. So as there's a saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So in that case, I decided to take like 10 20 minute breaks at a time between my studies, and I've generally done some stuff, something like drawing something or playing some music. So I feel like this balance of studying, taking breaks, and all that has helped my to preserve my mental health and hence like do well in my exams.
That's great to know. So can you tell me one particular mentor or teacher who has shaped your career over here?
So I met a teacher in ninth grade,
Mhm.
Pranav sir. He was my class teacher in ninth grade.
Mhm.
And for context, I was horrendous at Hindi. I used to get C's and D's. Pranav sir always used to say that I would definitely get an A star in Hindi, that I would top. And I never really believed him because honestly, I'd given up all hope at that point.
Mhm.
But the faith he had, it convinced me to actually start to put in effort for Hindi. And I think it's because of him that I actually ended up getting an A star in Hindi in the end. So my
Amazing.
grade jumped up about 4 grades.
Hmm.
Right? And it's all because of Pranav sir. I owe that to him.
That's great. Now you?
I think that every year that I've spent in Oakridge, there's always like this one teacher who like sticks out for me. But then towards your end, like in high school, like in 11th and 12th, you get like loads of teachers for each subject, right? So all of them have good methods actually to like make them like whatever concepts they teach, they actually end up staying in your mind. But if I had to pick my favorites, I'd say my IP teacher and my physics teachers. My IP teacher, Miss Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, she would always encourage group sessions,
Mhm.
and she would take us to different venues every class. So she would be like, do you guys want to go to the amphitheater? And we all used to just go there and have group discussions about every single concept that I can still remember them till now.
That's great to know.
Yeah, so lot of what I believe in is that throughout my journey, since I've been in 12 years in Oakridge, so my teachers, all teachers throughout the grades have shaped me in some other way. And not just teachers, it could be my friends, it could
Yeah.
be definitely my parents. But what I do advocate for, and I believe strongly, is that what you experience when you're very little, that matters a lot and can shape your entire journey forward. So there is this teacher who taught me from second to fourth grade. Her name is Deepti ma'am. Right now, she's not in the school anymore. But honestly, I feel I should attribute a lot of what she did to a lot of my success to what she
Mhm.
did. So she basically allowed me to be myself. And when in a world where like the education system forces everyone to follow one specific like path and goal, she allowed me to do my own thing basically.
Hmm.
So I feel that this allowing this freedom has really allowed me to like introspect and go a different path, different from most people. And it's not just her. Many teachers, like in say my maths teacher in like from 9 to 12th grade, Sarita ma'am, or my chemistry teacher, all of them, they have really like helped me in that aspect, and they have given me freedom to do what I wanted. So yeah.
That's great to know. So I would want to know, what would you miss the most after end your schooling year?
So what I miss most about school is honestly the entire school as a whole, because I'm gonna miss my teachers, my friends, everyone who was there for me every step of the way. Because 9th and 10th they were connected.
Hmm.
It feels it's a whole journey, right? There's so much that's changed in the last 2 years, and honestly, I'm an entirely different person now than I was then. So I'm gonna miss the entire school as a whole. because it was honestly an amazing 2 years for me. Apart from all the studies, we did have lots of fun too. And honestly, studying so much also did help shape my character, which will honestly I got used to studying, which I think will help in IBDP.
Yeah, as he said, it's really hard to pick one thing that you would miss, especially because most of us have joined at like such a young age. Yeah, the thing that I would miss the most is the students as a whole, because that's what gives life to Oakridge. Oakridge has been like my second home, and it's really hard to pick something that I'll miss in particular. But the students and teachers are the main aspect that I'll miss.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so I basically agree with what they both have said. I will miss the entire school in general. I mean, probably everyone who is leaving the school probably would. But probably if I had to pick something, it's just the environment that I have grown up in the school. I mean, I have been in the school for 12 years, so it's definitely going to feel a bit different if I leave the school. So I have made a lot of connections in the school, both with teachers and especially with students. It has really helped me to like to have a path forward to follow, and this experience will kind of, it might return a bit in college, because college also gives you a lot of freedom to do things, but the feeling that you're doing it at such a young age itself, that is a feeling that will never be recreated, as at least not until you can grow backwards in age at least. So yeah, that's something I have to choose.
So makes sense. So I would want to ask you all a generic question. See, I mean, based on the education system that we had or our parents had, and based on the schools that we were in or we have heard from people, so there's a lot of difference or edge that Oakridge gives you, right? So in terms of the number of extracurricular activities or the clubs and all that. So how do you attribute your success or your future goals in terms of your school giving importance to all these aspects?
So during a parents' time, school education was obviously different. I mean, they had next to none extracurriculars. They had nothing. But in Oakridge, we allowed to do whatever we want. Not in that way. So we have the freedom to pick up any initiatives you want to do. Like in IBDP, we have a period called CAS, and have that as a CAS project. So it can be creativity, activity, service. We can choose anything from these three streams. So Oakridge isn't just about studying. They develop you as a whole. So you have PAVA, Performing Arts and Visual Arts. You have sports. You have MUNs, which most schools don't offer. And especially not in a parents' time, because back then the main focus was on studies. But as the world progressed, we realized that it's not just studying that's important, because as we grow, I mean, we need other experiences as well. We can't just focus on one thing.
To answer your question, I'd say I picked up all my hobbies from Oakridge. When I joined in second grade, we had like literally all the extracurriculars that you could fit in one's timetable. I started arts and I started music, I started dance, and now I like all of them. And I've somehow pursued a little bit in all of them. I'm really good at singing as well, which I picked up from Oakridge. Most of the teachers are very encouraging and they ask you to sing, and I've performed in TEDx as well, as they've given me that opportunity. So just like that, Oakridge has just given a lot of co-curricular and extracurricular activities that I've become better at them and made me who I am.
That's amazing to know.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the experience that I've gotten from Oakridge has to do with how the school's philosophy is and how it's structured. From when I joined in first grade itself, I was immediately hit with multiple hobby periods. You could choose any hobby you wanted. There are like 6 options or something. Then in I think fourth grade, we had third language. So then we could learn a different language other than the one that we are already learning. Then in fifth grade, we had sports, and personally, I chose taekwondo. Taekwondo is something not a lot of schools have, and it was at a time it was quite new in India. Maybe not new, but yeah, it was. A lot of schools did not have it. Then eventually it shifted to music and all that. We had an event called Founders Day or Oak Spectrum, whatever it was called, in each year. So that allowed everyone to showcase their talent really, and it's not just extracurricular activities. It could be co-curricular too. For example, in seventh grade, I think, or seventh or eighth, I was selected along with another student to go go through a CBSE National Science Exhibition where we could showcase our projects. And also, even in 11th grade, which a lot of people don't like subconsciously don't realize, is that they give you a lot of subject choices. Most schools, other schools, they give MPC or BIPC as the only two subject choices, but here you can select like entrepreneurship and painting. So it really just allows you to craft whatever like future you want from an early age. So that's mainly what really shaped me.
So how would you pitch in terms of these students talking about the extracurricular activities and balancing studies together? So what advice would you give these budding stars?
Yeah, I think it's been lovely to listen to the three of them because they picked up on what they will need to succeed in life, the qualifications they've got, as you say, the choice of curricula that we have here in Oakridge School, but also there's other skills that they need to develop. But the bit I really enjoyed was the question about, what are you going to miss about school? Because it is around the people, whether that's mainly around obviously the friends that you make, but also, as I say, the teachers that have touched your life in some way. And I think that's really important. I woke up to a WhatsApp from an a school friend of mine this morning, checking on me. She's currently doing a PhD back in the UK. I have a group of 6 friends of mine that we all went to school together. We're in touch every couple of days. And those, as you can probably see from me, I left school quite a long time ago. But also those teachers, I have teachers that have really led to where I am today. I had a maths and science teacher when I was age 11, age 12, and I went on to be a maths and science teacher. And it, partly inspired by the work that this teacher did with me. And this is obviously many, many years ago in a completely different part of the world. And it's led to me sitting here in Hyderabad today in 2025. So no, thank you for your thoughts. It's fantastic to hear it from our students, and that's more important than whatever I think, and to a certain extent what others think. It's just important that what you do, and I wish you all the best in your next ventures.
Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. Hello viewers, welcome to the amazing coffee table conversation with the heads of Oakridge International School, Bachupalli. So starting with the head of the organization, let's spill some beans. Hello ma'am, it's amazing having you with us today.
Hello Vinila, it's a pleasure to be here.
So can you please let us know about yourself?
Hello, I'm Anuradha Verma. I'm the principal of Oakridge International School. I started my career as a teacher. I've been through various curricula. I've taught the CBSE, ICSE, Cambridge and the IB. Later, I graduated to take up leadership roles, and I've been with administration for the past 8 years, and I've been with Oakridge for the last 2 years.
That's amazing to know. Can we know about you?
Yeah, hi. I am Shalini, Head of National Curriculum at Oakridge. I joined here in 2015, and then again I joined back in 2023 as well. And coming back to Oakridge was my dream come true. Basically, I have been educator since 27 years and masters in commerce, graduate in law, also getting graduate from finance, management in finance. So the journey is endless and it's a learning journey altogether, what I can say as teacher, as an educator. And it is so fun to come to school every day and live with children with every day with their new enthusiasm and the sports they build up in learning journey. It has been a fantastic for me.
And you, sir?
I'm Vivek Mandal. I started my career with MNCs and I made a switch to education in 2014. I was a teacher of physics and economics. I moved on to become DPC for over 8 years. Then I got into the serious management roles, and my last assignment was with Indus as head of senior school. And I joined Oakridge Bachupalli as the head of international curriculum 6 months ago. Now, it is 6 months, but if you look at the level of comfort I have, it seems as if I'm here for ages. And this talks volumes about the environment in which we nurture the kids along with the teachers. So that's all about the environmental factor that has actually helped me to feel so comfortable with this school. And in particular, my principal, because she has an open ear to everything. All ideas that I have, all initiatives I want to take, She is extremely supportive. She goes out of the way. She approves it, and I'm looking forward for a great journey ahead with Oakridge Chronicles.
So Anuradha ma'am, personal development like holistically and also academic excellence, both are really important for a student. So how do you think Oakridge focuses on both of them?
Good question. So I think as a school, we do have very high standards for academics. We try to make sure that the students meet up or measure up to the expectations of the curricula that they've chosen. And we prepare them way early for the academic outcomes that we expect from them. But that said, I think we also give equal focus to holistic development. We do have a lot of extracurricular activities for them. We do have life skill development. We do have opportunities for them to take part in events where they can contribute to the society through the CAS initiatives that they take up. They do have exposure to skill development through MUNs and TEDx. So there's a whole lot of things that the students engage in apart from academics. So I think it kind of balances out, and we ensure that the holistic development takes place along with the academic expectations that they're required to meet.
That's great to know. So you have been with Oakridge and you said it's a dream come true to come back. So what was your vision when you first joined the school, and how do you think that is taking shape?
When I talk about Oakridge, especially Oakridge, I have worked all over India. So I can, really differentiate between what happens in other schools and at Oakridge. So in 2015, when I joined here at Oakridge, so I could see the difference, that how well the teachers are using the technology. What freedom do they have to teach the students in the classrooms? Even the students also mentioned that they have the freedom of doing their work, their skills. They can acquire a lot of things of their own. So that liberty and freedom is required, is essential, especially in the education system. Then only you can think independently and the creativity comes out. And creativity, when it comes out, it comes with a purpose and solution to the society. So it has been, a beautiful imagination, imagining a world with lot of things which we cannot imagine as we were back into the education.
That's great to know. So, sir, coming to you, the technology is evolving so fast. We have AI taking over, and there's a lot of new things happening on a day-to-day basis. So, you have been into tech background also. So, how do you think Oakridge is prepared for this evolving technology, and as per, student-wise and also the management-wise?
See, this is a very deep question, I would say, because even now, if you look at the assessment pattern, and especially for a renowned board like IBDP also, there's a lot of leeway that students can take in terms of submitting their assignments with the help of AI. So, technically, there is no checkpoint which is absolute. Having said that, when I talk about education at the school level, I think we have to look at the whole purpose of education to begin with. So, academic excellence is just one aspect to it, and their professional competency is the other aspect. A third aspect could be their character. Now, character building, ethos, values, morality is what every school strives to look at. But when it comes to academic excellence and linking it with the professional competency, it's a catch there, because we are in a VUCA world. The kind of job opportunities we look at are unknown, and that's one reason why we at Oakridge go beyond the curriculum. We are one of those few schools which offer multiple curricula, and we always strive to go. So as Principal Ma'am also mentioned, we have an association with Global Campus as a part of the NAU. We also have social impact with CAS done at a very high level as compared to other schools. But beyond that, there are certain other elements also that we work for, so that students, with the help of technology and otherwise, get ready for the future, which is quite unknown. I would like to quote a few examples here. We recently started off with research curriculum. Now, research curriculum that we plan is for grade 6 to 12. So imagine a grade 6 child fiddling with ideas of what is a research question, how to hypothesize a proposition, how to do a research with a given research design. So this is what we're teaching right from grade 6 to grade 12. For grade 9 to 12, it is somewhat a part of the curriculum also, but doing it for grade 6 to 8 is something which is quite unknown. In addition to that, we engage our students in deep reading exercises. Now, deep reading is not just reading for fun. It is reading books which have relevance to the future, and while reading, you reflect on that. Now, why is that done? Is to enhance their intellectual capabilities, so that when the future changes, they can rightly adapt to that. And that's something that I would even recommend to the audience. Like the books of relevance could be maybe the Third Millennium Thinking, which I have been capitalizing on for my students, or the other could be something like books on Age of Singularity, where we do talk about human intelligence being surpassed by artificial intelligence, something that is quite expected to happen. So deep reading exercise is again something that we administer right from grade 6 to 12. Design thinking is another aspect which we bring at the operational level. So while teaching a topic, teachers engage students into real life problems and they apply design thinking methodology to solve it. So as I told you, deep reading, design thinking, research curriculum, all these are much beyond what a curriculum expects from us as a school, and all that with the sole intent to ensure that our students walk out to future with full confidence and resilience.
There's so much depth to it actually. So I think the students and parents can understand the level of intricacies involved and the efforts you are making to, make the school and the students stand out. So ma'am, as being the head of the institution per se in that manner, so we have seen that Oakridge stands out for its progressive attitude. So be it in terms of teaching or the methodologies or the curriculum or the emphasis given on giving it back to the society, all these aspects as a whole. So how do you think it is making all these aspects stand out possible?
Right. So being progressive in education is a very, very big mission though. We do try to make small steps towards it. So we are a part of a large organization called Nord Anglia, and as part of Nord Anglia, we are in association with Nord Anglia University, where teachers are in direct connect with researchers who are engaged with real active research on education. So we have adopted the Project Zero from Harvard into our classrooms. Teachers are practicing that. We are going to also be associated with the Sports Academy, IMG Sports Academy, where our students will have some leverage on developing their sports skills. We try to make sure that the curriculum requirements are met. So as a school, we try to be progressive. Though it's a big mission, we take smaller steps towards it. We ensure that the students follow an inquiry approach and they take ownership of their learning, and we give our students a lot of agency in the classroom, and the methodologies we follow within the classroom try to practice that. So we try to ensure that the students develop a growth mindset by setting targets for themselves and making progress every step of the way. We are closely associated with MIT, whereas children engage in STEAM activities. We have a makerspace where they go in and try and tinker with things and develop their ideas further.
So sir, do you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, ma'am just spoke about student agency, so I would like to elaborate on that. Student agency typically is a student taking ownership of his own learning. Now, a typical Oakridge session starts with a goal setting exercise and a SWOT analysis. Something we hear in corporates where professionals do, but here every child, right from grade 6 to 12, engages in a SWOT analysis and a goal setting at the start of the curriculum. We also engage, as ma'am said, students in effective reflection exercises, which happens more or less on a weekly basis. Now, it's more like the teacher getting cues from that, using that as a foundational base for the formative assessment, and then giving it back to the class, and then this periodical reassessment by the child in the form of reflection ensures that the learning is complete.
So that's amazing to know. So coming back to you, ma'am, taking cues from sir's answer when we discussed about technology and AI and all that. So we see technology as a double-edged sword these days, because students can use it either judiciously or they can, use ChatGPT or AI to just cover up their assignments or something like that. So how do you balance this approach, especially at Oakridge?
Yeah, when it comes to technology, as I mentioned to you way back in 2015, I joined, students were using technology. Everyone grade 6 onward had their own iPads and they were using it and they were mindful about the technology. Today I do agree there is a lot of AI, as Mr. Vivek has mentioned, that there is a lot of AI and AI might take over humans, but I have a thought about it, that everything is created by humans and nothing can be above that. So we make our students understand, like my teacher, I mentioned to them, that give the answers what ChatGPT could give you the answers. Give all the 3 possible answers to them and ask them what could be the other possibility out of it. So then the thinking, gets ignited and it comes out. So that is how it is. We have to also think differently and creatively in order to beat the things what is going on in the market.
Absolutely.
And there only comes the point what Miss Anuradha has mentioned, that training of the teachers, right? So when we train the people time over and again over the new things, the things automatically start happening at the ground level, because they are able to think that what is the student thinking. I usually quote this example because a student of law, that in order to catch a case or in order to get the theory of the things what could have happened, we have to have a criminal mindset. So we will get or catch the thief immediately.
Yeah.
Right? So that is how, in order to get what is going on in the student mind, go to that. Think what
From
they
their
are thinking.
perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do a lot of talk with the students, a lot of meeting with the student in order to understand that what is that what they are wanting from the school, what is that they look, even when the student pass out and they go to universities, what is that they are looking, what has been not provided at the school level, and what is the difference, right? When they come to from 10 to 11, what is the difference? So that is what the answer I get from them, and I try to incorporate those things in my way. There might be a traditional setup of everyone stating that this is not the way. I said, let's try the way, then the change will automatically happen, right? So we are the advocating the change. So be the change what you want to see in the society. That is what Oakridge advocate for. And
So I like that phrase, try the way. So I think thinking in students' perspective is really important to know what's happening with them.
So just to add to what ma'am said about the judiciousness of using the AI, so we have a very effective BYOD policy, which is not just confined to the basic operational mandates of how to use a device, but it also has elements on prompt engineering. So in case if you're using AI, how to go about ensuring that your creativity and thinking capabilities are not compromised upon with the responses you get from AI. And that is where we train our teachers, and subsequently our students get trained.
That's very interesting to know. So also talking about the social and emotional growth, that's really important for a student, not just academics. So how does Oakridge deal with it?
Typically at Oakridge starts with the class teachers period, where the class teacher go a step ahead in bonding with the students. That effective 25 minutes that the teacher has is more like a circle time, where the child is able to express his strengths, weaknesses, with the teacher. And in fact, a while back I mentioned about the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis done by a student, the data is accessible even to the class teachers. So class teacher develop their own approach to handling every single child and ensuring, just to answer your question, that the emotional aspect of the child is taken care of with full confidentiality as well as sincerity.
That's great to know. So this is a question for all of you. See, I mean, dealing with 1 or 2 kids at home is different, and dealing with a whole lot is different. So you also have to, step up and keep yourself recharged, because there's always this stress and all that. So how do you manage that aspect? Like a team, or how do you deal with it in Oakridge?
If I have to talk about the staff well-being, so we have a department called as Wellbeing department, where we not only take care of the student, which is a counseling department entirely, whether it is student counseling, career counseling, or handling the students which requires a special need. We also have few mentors. We are also the part of, from Nord Anglia, we are also the part of Empower Us. Okay, so there we deal with the stress of the teachers as well, and every head, believe me or not, gives that importance to every of our the reportees coming to us and explaining their stress or the kind of things. And I believe from every office, when they come out, they are satisfied, happy, and stress free. Yes.
I think I would add that as a school or an organization, we try to keep an open door policy where staff can freely approach us with their concerns and we try to address them to their best interest. But having said that, we also ensure that we have a lot of activities for them. We ensure they get a break where we bond together as a team. We have team outings where we try and connect with each other. We have wellness banks where we try to post good messages for each other, appreciating little things that usually go unnoticed.
My 6 months at Oakridge seems to me like I'm here for over a decade. So it talks about the culture that I'm associated with. As ma'am mentioned, the open door policy that we have, you're never restricted to express yourself. In fact, quoting it from the book The Winning by Jack Welch, who was the former CEO of General Electrics, he mentioned that for any organization to be successful, there has to be an element of candor. And that is what I think we really emphasize on. We are very well connected with our peer group, and we do not have this. We do have hierarchy as per the organizational structure, but we do not necessarily follow it at the operational level, wherein if there is a concern, all of us get together to find a solution to it. It is not like driven by levels then. It is more like driven as a family, and we consider each one to be the same valued member of the family. So that's the culture at Oakridge, and the same percolates down at the classroom level, the same percolates down at the parent community level, and we are one of the biggest, rather, if I go by the statistics, we are the biggest educational family in the world. North Anglia has an association of we have 90 schools as on date, and it's putting more than 10,000 plus educators with 80,000 plus students worldwide. So it's a big community. It's something I think any parent or child or student should, I would say,
feel proud.
Yeah. Those who are part should feel proud, and those who are not a part of it should look forward to be a part of this. It's more like an opportunity to explore, I would say.
I think the numbers speak for themselves, so
Yes.
it's very impressive. So I've asked this question even to Mr. Chris, and he answered it beautifully. So I would want to know from all of you. So as we have two sides of a coin, see, one thing is that we always tell students that, they should be inspired, and in spite of the marks they get in some examination or whatsoever, they shouldn't be demotivated by it, and they should be ready and up for the next challenge. And at the same time, academic excellence is very important for them to, for their career to take shape.
Right.
So how do you balance this? Because it's a very sensitive issue.
So I think I will go back to what I said earlier. We are very mindful of the progress our children make, and we are constantly reviewing how they perform and what support they require. So we do constant goal settings for them, and we ask them to take it one step at a time. We don't expect them to make miracles overnight. We try to teach them a growth mindset where we accept failures, we accept mistakes, and we allow them to reflect, to find ways to improve and progress further. And along with that, we do have a strong student support system within the school where we have counselors who reach out to students who need either extra support or extra help. So in both ways, I think our students are energized or well taken care of.
That's good to know. So being distinguished educators with a lot of experience and expertise, so can I know what plans each one of you have for Oakridge going forward, and what can parents and students expect from you?
So going forward, if I talk about the national curriculum, we have adopted the new education policy of 2020, and we are the one who have started with the credit system, credit score, which is relevant in college, university level usually. So we have started with that. We have also started the maker space and DTI. So design, thinking and innovation curriculum, as well as the skill subject. And moving ahead, we are moving in the IB ways, as we have the international school and international mindset. So the teaching doesn't go here just like CBSE ways. It goes in a very international way. So what I can say is I am serving a national curriculum, CBSE curriculum, in an international platter. Right, so it is like XX CBSE.
That's very beautifully put, actually. So, can we know from you, ma'am?
Yeah, so as head of the school, my vision for the organization is, of course, growth. We plan to grow and expand in whichever way we can, be it adding new curriculum or be it adding new subjects. But apart from that, we also plan adding on better learning spaces for our students so that our students have the best experience. We also look at further collaboration with our sister schools of North Anglia. So we are looking at projects where our students can mingle and interact or even visit, have student exchanges between schools. We do have teachers interacting with peers across North Anglia and sharing learning or even sourcing expertise that we don't have from one of the schools that we have within the family. So there is a lot of possibilities that we have. And just being a part of North Anglia actually opens up a lot of pathways for our students to explore and learn from and grow.
Amazing.
To answer this question, I would like to give you a brief perspective now. If you look at how the professional setting is going ahead in the times to come, and actually started even experiencing it, is now the hiring at the multinational level is happening based on the skills rather than on the basis of the university from which you have passed. I mean, giving the context, I'm not saying that one should not aspire for universities, but what I'm saying is going to a university, a good one, is not only the deciding factor to get into a professional setup. So having said that and giving you this context, what would be my vision for the international section at Oakridge would be what I would expect for any new age school to deliver. So things like having an incubation center where the ideas of students develop into more like an entrepreneurship exercise, and they, rather than looking for jobs, start giving jobs by the time they pass out from school. Ideas like they can have their own research publications, because as I mentioned about the research curriculum, I would not be surprised going forward if maybe a grade 7 or 8 standard student of Oakridge Bachapalli collaborates with an actual scientist of, say, Naipur, Hyderabad, and comes with some kind of a research on oncology, you see. At the same time, we also, my vision would be a school where my students from my section can come up with patents. Normally, patents are what we associate with universities. But going forward, because of the way in which we do design thinking or research curriculum, you can even expect Oakridge Bachapalli to deliver patents in the name of students. So that would be what I would like to say for my new age vision for my current school.
That's quite a vision, actually. So, ma'am, finally, there's a saying that, it takes a village to raise a kid. So, and also a lot of parents also, and even I've heard our parents saying that it was quite easy raising us than raising kids now because of the ever-changing world, the technology and all of it. So, they also have a mind of their own and they're fiercely independent and all that. So, what advice would you give teachers and parents and students as well on dealing with kids of this era?
I totally agree with you. It's not an easy job, neither for a teacher or a parent. I think one tip that I would like to leave parents with is children listen to reason. If you're able to make it logical and connect with them with reasoning, they will be able to buy into what you think or even understand the way you feel, instead of getting defensive or resistive to anything that you propose. So one way to break that disconnect is to connect with them with some reason and logic.
That completely makes sense.
I would ask the parents as well as the students to, because of the ever-changing nature of the world, which is like a VUCA world, but of late after pandemic we call it a Bani world, which is more in terms of the emotional challenges, etc., that have come up post-pandemic. So the acronym now is BANI. So in this BANI world / VUCA world, I would expect everyone to challenge the norms and challenge the status quo. So when I say challenging not in the literal sense of challenging, but more in terms of seeing what best can be done in the given situation. Just to give you the perspective, we have schools which say we have X number of infrastructural capabilities. But can we really go back and check if learning actually needs an infrastructure? Can we go back and check if learning actually can happen within the four walls? Now, as per the research I recently read by Forbes, which says learning can actually not happen in a classroom. It has to be experiential. And you have certain group of schools which claim to have experiential learning.
Yeah.
Likewise, I know this is going to create a lot of chaos at the school level, but when you say we have 5 days of schooling, but why only 5? Why not 3 or 2? Now, there are schools in the country which operate for just 3 days also. I don't want to mention the name for obvious reasons, but they are challenging that status quo so that whatever is taught at the school level is making more sense and is relevant to the needs of the future. I still feel that a lot of things go in a very cliche manner. The traditional approach of focusing on marks and linking it with the capability of a child, wherein we're all completely forgoing the need for the future, which is more in terms of the development of creative skill, innovative skill, which thankfully we at Oakridge Bachapuri are delivering through our design thinking curriculum, through our research curriculum. So my advice to the new age parents and to the continuing parents and students would be to challenge the status quo, but not in the literal sense of challenging, more to look at making improvements and optimizing it.
This is also a phrase beautifully put, actually. Thank you so much. And you, ma'am?
Yeah. When I speak, being the mother of teenagers, right, going to the college, when I speak about this, yes, there are challenges in real sense. Because there is a millennium gap between their thinking and our thinking. To match that level, what I do as a parent, I constantly talk to them. I give my listening ear to them. Because as a teacher or as an educator, I have a habit of talking. That, we have that habit of classroom talking, this talking. So we have to somewhere stop that. Being a parent, being a teacher, or being an educator, and must give a listening ear to them. So when we give them a listening ear, they understand that we are being valued. That is very important to create their own identity. And when we value them, of course the things fall in place, they listen to us. But if we keep giving them that this is not right, this is, and the word not or don't, I tell every parent and every teacher, please avoid using this word, because the moment you say don't, do not, they will definitely do that.
I think that's one of the mostly used words.
Yeah. So we have to show them, as Miss Anuradha has mentioned, that logic behind the things, listen to them, understand what is their perspective in this new era, and show them, because they want to experience, as Mr. Vivek mentioned, experiential. So let them experience and come back to us. Yes, we should be advisors, not a commander. I feel that with this parent.
It's also wonderfully put. So there are a lot of wonderful takeaways for both parents and students. I think this will definitely impact a lot of student and parent community. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.